This is a camping scavenger hunt. So while we're reading both stories, if you see things on the scavenger hunt in the pictures, or you hear me talk about them in the story, feel free to write them in the chat, or at the end of the story, I'll give an opportunity for people to say what they saw, and we're gonna see, and I'm gonna be honest, I didn't go through both stories beforehand, so we're gonna see how many of these we can find together. So we've got everything from tent to campfire to cup to s'mores, sleeping bag, starry night, moon, trees. We'll see how many of those that we can find. All right, I'm going to start with a book called Camping Day. And this book is by Patricia Larson. And it's one of my favorite camping stories. I'm going to sit Pete the cat down just for a little bit. This will be the second story we read. I'm going to sit it down so that I don't knock it over when I'm using the book. But this is Camping Day. It's written by Patricia Larson, and the pictures, the illustrator was Scott Nash. So this is Camping Day. What shall we do today? Said Sam, Pam, Will, and Jill. Cook out, said Sam. Hang out, said Pam. Work out, said Will. Camp out, said Jill. What are they gonna do? Yes, said Pam, Sam, Will, and Jill. Here they go. Take maps, said Sam. The packs, said Pam. The lights, said Will. The tent, said Jill. We're off, said Sam, Pam, Will, and Jill. They drove and drove and drove and drove. They parked their van beside a grove. North, south, east, west. They picked the trail that looked the best. I love the bunnies in the bushes talking about the alligators. They hiked through woods. They climbed hills too. They stopped and sighed. Wow, what a view. Check out our bunnies there. Birds, said Sam. Trees, said Pam. Flowers, said Will. Bees, said Jill. Freeze, said Pam, Sam, Will, and Jill. They're letting those bees fly by. Excuse me. They crossed a stream. They jumped a fence. Let's camp right here. Set up our tent. Tie where, said Sam. Peg there, said Pam. Can't see, said Will. Help me, said Jill. Finally, said Sam, Pam, Will, and Jill. Let's eat, said Sam. Hot dogs, said Pam. And beans, said Will. Oops, toots, said Jill. P.U., said Sam, Pam, Will, and Jill. S'mores, said Sam. More, said Pam. Songs, said Will. Stories, said Jill. Scary, said Sam, Pam, Will, and Jill. Check it out, even a little bunny is frightened by their story. They put out their fire, they put out their light, they shivered in the ink-black night. Who snored? Asked Sam. Who roared? Asked Pam. Who growled? Asked Will. Who yelled? Asked Jill. Let's see, said Sam, Pam, Will, and Jill. Why, jaws, cried Sam. Long claws, cried Pam. Big paws, cried Will. Loud roar, cried Jill. Dinosaur, cried Sam, Pam, Will, and Jill. Let's scram, said Sam, Pam, Will, and Jill. They grabbed their things, they ran and ran, they sped away in their small van. Stop, said Sam. Whew, safe, said Pam. Home, said Will. Let's camp, said Jill. Snored Sam, Pam, Will, and Jill. So they went all the way out there in the woods, scared themselves with a scary story, and drove all the way back home to camp out in their backyard. How many of you you can just put in the chat, or how many of you have ever been camping before? I like to camp, I'm gonna be honest, I like to camp in my backyard. That's my favorite place to camp. I guess because I know if I really need something, I can run right back in the house and get it. But that is camping day, and let's take a look at our scavenger hunt. What did we see that we can go ahead and cross off? Anybody got anything in the chat or anything you want to tell us?
We have one person that said, I see a tent, and that was a few minutes ago. So
Perfect.
I think they saw that
cross off tent. Now, so this is the color. I put the coloring page or the printed page in a little plastic sleeve. And so I'm going to dry erase marker over the plastic. And then when we're done, I can clean it up and then I can use it again. I remember one of the characters wanted hot dogs when they were cooking. So I'm going to cross that one off. Does anybody remember anything else? Miss Jill, did you see anything in there?
I think I remember there being some marshmallows.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm going to do that one. Marshmallows right there. All right, we got 3 of them. That's pretty good. So far, so good. Anybody got anything else?
We have one more, and they said we saw sleeping bags at the end.
Yes, we did. Sleeping bags. Should I put that? Yep, I see it right here. All right, here we go. All right. There's our scavenger hunt so far. Now, the next story I'm going to read, hope that you are a fan of Pete the Cat as much as I am. So this is one of the I Can Read series, Pete the Cat Goes Camping. And it is, of course, by James Dean, the very famous Pete the Cat author. So I want to tell you something. So you notice here, I want to show you these 2 books. Something a little bit different about the spine. Here, you don't see any numbers. You don't see this piece of plastic. that you see on Pete the Cat. That's because Camping Day, this is a personal book that I own. I bought this story. It's been several years ago. I read it and thought it was funny, and I bought it. This book with the plastic and the little white tag, and it says V.R. Dean. And that's for a beginning reader, and Dean is the last name of the author. This book came from the Cabarrus County Public Library System, and if you look on the very back, the KAN says it actually came from the Kannapolis Library. And I just want to remind everybody, I'm going to show you a couple more books after the story time, but I just want to remind everybody that even though the library is closed right now, they're still open for virtual checkout. So you can go online with your library card, check out books just as if you were in the library. That's what I did with some of these today. And then you drive up to the library. There's a telephone number on a banner. It tells you to call. They will come out and have your books in a bag. You pop your trunk open or you open up the door and they put your library books in. No contact is what they're calling it. So don't go without reading or looking at books or magazines or things like that, because the library is still open. It's just open in a little bit different way. So this story again is Pete the Cat Goes Camping. And I'm going to be honest, this is the first book. I did not know Pete had a brother named Bob. How many of you knew that? I did not know that, so I learned it in this story. So here's our title page, Pete the Cat Goes Camping. Ooh, I turned the wrong page. Pete is excited to go camping. This is his first time. Don't forget your sleeping bag, says Dad. Or your hiking boots, says Mom. The campsite is deep in the woods. Mom and Dad set up the tent. Pete and Bob help collect sticks so that they can make a fire later. Pete and Bob go for a hike. Bob shows Pete the footprints of different animals. Do you think we will see anything cool? Asked Pete. Maybe, said Bob. Now I think it's just a coincidence, but look, the extra animal that they put in this story is a rabbit too, just like in Camping Day. And I bet that rabbit's saying, hey, look over here, I'm cool. This is something cool right here. Pete and his dad go fishing. They must be very quiet and very still. Everybody freeze. To catch a fish. Fishing takes a long time. They finally catch some fish though. Mom builds a fire. She cooks the fish for dinner. It tastes yummy. Next, Pete toasts marshmallows. And then Pete makes s'mores with chocolate and graham crackers. Anybody out there s'more fans? It starts to get dark. Bob tells Pete a story about a scary, hairy giant. The giant lives in the woods. His name is Bigfoot. Do you think Bigfoot lives here? Asked Pete. No one has ever seen Bigfoot, says Bob. Don't let Bob scare you, said Dad. Huh, Bigfoot isn't real, said Mom. Ooh. Pete sighs with relief. But if he is real, I bet he's friendly, said Dad. And likes s'mores too. Oh, that's not scary, thinks Pete. Maybe he just wants a s'more. Pete leaves one for his hairy friend. Soon it's time for bed. Lights out, boys, Dad says. Bob and Pete share a tent. Pete gets into a sleeping bag. It's cozy, but he can't go to sleep. The woods seem extra dark, and all of those sounds seem extra loud at night. Pete hears a weird swooshing sound. What is that? He asks Bob. That's just the wind, says Bob. Pete hears an odd chirping sound. What is that? He asks out loud. Oh, those are just crickets. Pete hears a strange hooting sound. What is that? He wonders. That's just an owl. Pete thinks of his friend, Owl. Pete hears a loud snapping sound. Crack! What is that? He wonders, but Bob has already fallen asleep. Pete listens carefully. Crack, crack, crack. Is it Bigfoot? Pete peeks outside, but it's too dark to see anything. I wonder what he's hearing. When Pete wakes up the next morning, he checks the spot where he left the s'more for Bigfoot. The s'more is gone. But there's a note. It says, thanks for the treat, hugs and kisses. And oh my goodness, what is that? Looks like a Bigfoot track to me. Pete shows his family. Wow, I knew Bigfoot was real, says Bob. Pete knows Bigfoot is not scary. Just because he looks different, it doesn't mean he's scary. He even likes s'mores too. And that is the very end of Pete the Cat Goes Camping. Now let's go back to our scavenger hunt. Did anybody see anything else?
We have one person that says that there's a signpost on the front of the book.
Yes, okay, I got signpost right here.
And
Check that out.
then we had someone type s'mores,
S'mores, got that.
campfire,
Campfire, yes.
and trees.
Definitely lots of trees. Oh, look at that. I think we've got most of them. We'll have to go back and see. That's most of them. I do remember in camping day, I remember they put on, they call them packs. But packs is another word for backpack. So I'm going to cross that one off too. Look at that. I think we got most of them there. Good job doing that scavenger hunt. And it's going to be available for you if you want to go back and reread these books or watch this again and do your own scavenger hunt, or the next time you go camping, do the scavenger hunt and see what you find. I read these two stories because in them, the families did some safe things with campfires. And Pete, when Mom goes to cook the fish, I'm going to go back to that picture and show you that. I love these pictures because what James Dean did when he drew these pictures, so he gave Mom a perimeter around her fire. So these are large stones. So look, Mom has cleared away an area. She's not right over trees. She's not in the wooded area. She's in a little clearing. She's made her a perimeter out of stones, and there she is safely using that campfire. And then in Camping Day, let's go back to the page where they are camping. They're putting up their tent. It's towards the end. I can't believe I can't find it. Oh, here it is. So there's actually not a picture. It was in the words. They put out their fire. So before they went to bed, they extinguished their fire to make sure the fire didn't spread because they weren't going to be watching it. So that's what I want to talk about next before we do our craft and our snack. I brought some things here. There are a couple ways to safely extinguish a campfire, and you want to have some of these things, you kind of have to pre-plan a little bit. If you're going to have a campfire or a fire pit in your yard, you need to have a couple things ready. One of them might simply be your hose. If you've got a long enough hose that you can stretch all the way out to the area where you're safely using your campfire, you might use the hose. Don't tell my husband I got to get this back home and in his shop before he notices that I took it today. You might have a bucket, and you could fill this bucket with dirt or sand, and that way if your fire starts to get out of control, you could smother the fire by throwing that dirt or sand on the fire. And that would, the water from the hose, that would take away the heat from the fire. The bucket with the sand or the dirt would smother the fire and take away the oxygen. And then another thing you could do, this is my husband's little, this is, I don't remember what he called it, but this is a little tool that he uses when he goes camping. So it would be a great thing to have around there, because after you use the water on the flames, or you use the dirt or the sand on the flames, then once it started cooling, you could simply take your shovel and start breaking those pieces of wood apart. And as you separate those pieces of wood from one another, that's going to take away the fuel, because those together, they can't burn. So there's just a couple things that you could use to keep yourself safe in case your fire starts to spread. And I hope that never happens to anyone, but sometimes it can. So I told you I was going to show you a couple more stories. Again, this story is mine, Camping Day. Another story that I had by Mercer Mayer is called Just Camping Out. That's one of his little critter books. But then I definitely want to show you the rest of these, because I'm going to be turning these back into the library. So you might want to check these out or some others. I am a huge Scaredy Squirrel fan. And I love Scaredy Squirrel books by Melanie Watt. She's a Canadian author. But they're just, they're great, but they're a little longer and they're a little more detailed than we would want to read for story time. He's checking the outdoor conditions. Scaredy Squirrel Goes Camping. See if I can show you one more page. Oh, I love Scaredy Squirrel. This was not part of the plan. And then Scaredy Squirrel goes back home to his tree to roast some s'mores. But that one was definitely, see, it's got the numbers on the spine, or the E and Watt for her last name. So that one's definitely going back to the library. Mr. Pants is kind of a graphic novel. So again, too long for us to read together today, but chapter 5 is called The Itch. I wonder what happens. This is called Mr. Pants Camping Catastrophe, and it is by Scott McCormick. Again, it is one of our library books from the Cabarrus County Library System. I'll return it. And you might already know the character Flat Stanley. There are a lot of Flat Stanley books. This is another I Can Read, and it is going back to the library. I'm going to turn those in today when I leave work. So you've got some more camping. You know that if you want to go to the library and do the online order, you know that I didn't check out all the camping books. That's just like 5 right there that I was able to check out. All right, who is hungry? I hope that you are, because I have a quick and easy snack for you. Let me bring some things in so that you can see them on the camera. What do you think? First clue, marshmallows. What do you think our snack might be? Anybody know? All right, I'll bring in another clue. Second clue, milk chocolate chips. Last clue, Golden Grams cereal. Oh my goodness, what on earth? We are gonna make a no-bake s'more. And so these are little punch cups. Any cup will do. I just wanted a clear one so that you could see through it. So these are little punch cups that you might get in the grocery store. And I just spent a little bit of extra time yesterday getting ready. I decided that I would make holes on each side. This would definitely be something that you would need a grown-up with. If you have a single hole punch, that would be the easiest way to do it. Grown-ups, I ended up using a staple remover. I got pretty creative with a staple remover. And then when I got the holes big enough, I just took a pipe cleaner and wrapped it around, stuck it through and wrapped it around to make a handle. So here it's to remind me of the pail. So it's got me thinking back to camping safety. So this is just a real easy dessert. I've already, before you came on, I've already cut a little slit in my cereal right there. So I'm just gonna start with the graham crackers. I'm gonna put my handle down for just a minute. So I'm just gonna pour in some graham crackers. This is also a good snack if you have multiple children over in the afternoon. So there go our Golden Grams. And I just stopped at Food Line. You can get any grocery store, box store, and you don't have to use Golden Grams. I'm sure you might have some Teddy Grahams at home. Graham crackers, you could crumble up some graham crackers there. Then I'm gonna do some marshmallows. Again, I just kind of cut a slit in the marshmallows there. I'm gonna pour in some. Right, my plan is to pour in some. How about that? Looking pretty good there. Couple more. And lastly, now you could use anything you wanted. I know a lot of us bake with the semi-sweet morsels. I was really looking for the teeny tiny little chips, and they only came in semi-sweet. So I just went ahead and got the regular size, and these are the milk chocolate morsels. So they're gonna have the nice, rich, chocolatey taste that we all like. They're not gonna have that bitter semi-sweet. And you just kind of decorate the top. And put your handle back up and serve to your guest. This would be a great one if any of you are having family movie night outside. Let's say maybe you put a sheet up against the back wall, or you hung a sheet on the clothesline and you were gonna watch a movie outside. This would be another great snack because everybody can carry their own little pail, and when you get done with this, you can refill for extras. All right, well, that's our craft. Excuse me, I got a cough. So sorry there. Does anyone have any questions or any comments before we close? I know we've gone a little long with reading the 2 stories, but I just couldn't decide. I love them both. So thanks for sticking around and listening today, though.
I don't see any comments right now,
Okay.
but before we leave, I was gonna see if you would like to talk about our bike safety bingo that we're doing next week.
We were gonna do one more thing. Friends, on the back of the Golden Grams box, there's a sweet and salty trail mix recipe. No Bake S'mores bars, and PB&J bites. I'm going to try to copy and scan this in, and we'll make this available for you also, the recipe's available. I'm really interested in that No Bake S'mores bars. I'm not one for burnt marshmallow taste, so I kind of steer away from s'mores if I'm camping, but this one kind of really sounded good. All right, so I don't know what you're doing next week, but here's something that Jill and I are doing together. Parks and Rec, Recreation Department, and Kannapolis Fire Department, we team together. You know, sometimes two heads work better than one. We have teamed together and we've worked on some bicycle safety. And next Tuesday night, we are doing bike safety bingo. So I hope you and your family will go on. You can find the information on Facebook. You sign up, and the reason you want to sign up is because Miss Jill can either mail out bingo cards or can email you bingo cards for you to print off, because you're going to need those bingo cards. And then we are going to start, I think we decided that it starts at 6:30?
Yeah, we'll get on Zoom at 6:30. We'll have some music and a PowerPoint going.
Okay, so you'll see some bike safety information between 6:30 and 7. Here's some fun music. At 7, our games start, and we'll be learning bike safety along the way. And then there might be, I don't know, it might be a few prizes, and there might be a few exciting announcements at the end. So if you are free on Tuesday evening, please join us. We would love to have you. There are 20 people signed up so far, and we're really excited about that. Let's make it 30. Can you help us make it 30, maybe? That would be great. So that's next Tuesday. That's August the 4th, 6:30 to 7. Log on anytime. Join us anytime. The game will start. We'll start the presentation at 7 o'clock.
Yep, and I just shared the link. If anybody wants to go register, it's free to register. And make sure you register each person in your family so that everyone can get their own bingo card.
Perfect. That sounds great.
All right, well, I don't see any questions, so I'm going to go ahead and sign off for the day. But thank you, everybody, for joining us, and we will see you guys next week for a volcano story time.
Ooh, that sounds fun. All right, everybody, you have a great, safe day. If you have any more questions about campfire safety, you know, your good old friend, Smokey the Bear, you can log on to Smokey the Bear. There's lots of, the U.S. Forest Service has lots of fire safety and camping safety information on their website. Or you can always get in touch with Kannapolis Fire Department and we can help too. Bye-bye, everybody. Have a really great day. See you later.